Yeah, and I guess it is a World Cup series, so different styles of track and different fitness and different strengths. You saw some riders that were incredibly strong on the pedal and, kept speed. You saw some riders like Cami, which we'll get to later in the ladies. I think she gave up a little bit of time there, I would say, but she made it up in the woods. So, yeah, I love it. It just looked definitely, I was like, you got this hard sprint as you get out the gate. There wasn't like a big roll in. You got this intensity, and then you got to traverse. Like your heart rate's just going to be spiked the whole way, and it'd be awesome to show the mere mortals like that data and like how fit you have to be to keep that pace. Like you say, Ronan Dunn's been doing his sprints, and he's certainly not going to maybe sneak off to ride his downhill bike overdoing the rest of them, because he's like, oh, geez, imagine I didn't do those sprints. Like I might not have pipped Loic, because Loic was very strong to the bottom, and that's something you have to do. Is even if you have an incredible run, there's a finish line, and you can't sort of save it in the last woods or check up and save these fast runs, especially in this day and age. And Ronan was incredibly good in the last woods, saying, oh, well, the double means my wheels are off the ground. I get less chance to slip. So refreshing way to answer the question of, like, you're one of the few people doing that double in the last woods. But I know the TV doesn't do those sort of lines justice at all.
No, I know. And they see the need for the training. I think that's what to me is quite exciting. From the riders I coach, every one of them has been super motivated after that weekend. Everyone's pretty much going to Schladming this week. They're going there or to Leogang. And there's a big group who've all gone. And I had a long travel day yesterday, just the nature of getting home from Poland. Got home and I got a message off Ronan, and it was a selfie of him and Charlie looking grumpy, and it was like, we're ready for our intervals tomorrow. And they know it. We've got to get it done. It's part of the game, and it's once you've had a result that you see the fruits of your labor, you're like, oh, we do need to do this. It's part of what we're doing, and it does allow you to have that focus and that concentration, because sometimes you can underestimate the requirements of incredible levels of fitness, because a mistake happens in a technical section. You think, oh, that's a technical mistake. But often it isn't. Often it's, if your heart rate's through the roof at 200 beats a minute and your concentration goes and you can't quite hang on, you make a technical mistake. And I get frustrated. I've made a couple of comments on the Whoop posts where they talk about Loic Bruni at 160 beats a minute or seeing someone at 145 beats a minute. Now, I don't know Loic's heart. Maybe Loic's heart is the size of a V8 engine, and it probably is, so it doesn't beat as quickly. But I've seen very few people that low in all the testing I've done. And it would be nice to show people that the heart rates and the lactate response, which is sort of an indication of how anaerobic the exercise is, it's so high. And if you were doing this in a rowing boat, or if you were doing it running, or if you're doing it, in like a cross-country skiing, there's not really a technical element to it. The risk involved of hurting yourself if you sort of collapse isn't really there, but you do it when you've then got to go into some rocks at, what was the speed trap, 60k an hour. You don't dare have a problem. So this is what they need to show on the telly, and I'm really passionate about that, because I don't want people to think that it's a sport where you can get by on your wits alone. It used to be. We could say skill won out solely in the early 90s maybe, but people were still fit back then. They're all ex-cross-country riders. So everything plays a part, and that's certainly the beauty of it.
Yeah, I mean, in other sports, people, why do they go to the gym? Why do they do this? I said, well, because their mind will be better come 4 hours into a golf round or whatever, for lack of a better term. People say, that's not a sport. Yeah. I'm like, you're missing the point of the training. Yeah. You're missing the point. It's not to hit the ball further. It's not always to sprint harder. It's to get through a weekend, which track walk starts on Thursday. Not to mention if you've traveled in overseas, you've got to recover, track walk, do your practice. Now you got to do quali and semi. Now you got to recover. So that's where the fitness comes in. That's where all your work is, pays off. And then making better decisions under fatigue. And like you say, if you're that little bit fitter, maybe we saw a few people, when you save it on the stem, you're like, okay, so is that a bit of bench press? That's a bit of full body. That's even from doing your intervals. You're like, you've recovered from the sprint and you're good to go. So I mean, anyone that says downhillers aren't fit is definitely not ridden a bike down the hill at that pace and able to make decisions and handle it. That's pretty damn cool.